Hello and welcome to Moon Touched demo. So, this is a new visual novel about werewolves. Right now, off the bat, what I can tell you is that this is going to be very graphic, and beyond the demo, I don't know how much I'll be able to record, because when I say graphic, I don't just mean like gore and blood and guts. I mean boobs and butts and other stuff. As you can probably guess from this menu right here, it is very visually, well, pretty, for lack of a better word. I don't want to spoil any more than that, but it is about werewolves, like actual proper werewolves, not wolves, or not people that turn into wolves. I mean like actual werewolves. But yeah, that's about as much as I am willing to say right now. So, like I said, this is a demo. There isn't, I think what is currently available is only up to like a good third of the first chapter. So more than that, I won't be able to like read it yet because it's not available. And it is actually no, it isn't. It does involve you pairing up with one of 5 characters, and you can technically jump around them. But yeah. That's all I'm gonna say now. Anyway, so without further ado, let us begin Moon Touched. This game is intended for mature audiences. Depictions of explicit gay sexuality, mature themes, and non-gratuitous wounds, blood will be present. You must be 18 years or older to play. Welcome to the demo. Certain keywords will be highlighted throughout the dialogue. Should you want to deepen your understanding of the lore or need a refresher, simply hover over the term and a tooltip will appear. So it's sort of like what that one Polish visual novel does. This slice of the game is roughly the first third of the first chapter of our tale. The VN will follow the experiences of a human protagonist as they prepare body, heart, and mind for a deeply erotic and spiritual ritual that will see them transforming into a werewolf, a great and sacred honor in the world that they are a part of. The story will feature 5 possible ritual love interests, each with their own stories and relationships to explore. There will not be any set routes in the traditional sense. Rather, the player will choose amongst the lot who they will spend time with during each day as the story unfolds. Certain actions, as well as how often an individual character is chosen, will affect your affinity with that character, progressing their story and deepening your bond. There is no set outcome for these lads. Their hearts can be broken. They might fall in love, or they can simply fulfill their duty in assisting the player in the final ritual. It's up to you. The scars of the past lie upon the lands, and in the hearts of men and wolves. Truths lie buried, ancient forces begin to stir. Do you have the strength to push beyond what you think is possible? To give yourself to a longing beyond your ken? I hope you enjoy your time with it. Click to begin. In the deepest chambers of every heart, there lies a void. An endless well of black that yearns in tides of great hunger. Come, oh, we have to keep. When brought to the eroding edge, most cower in awe at its expanse, brought to their knees by its pining and left to flee back to the surface, where the hunger is but a whisper. Mama, where? Dad, I can't see him anymore. Some find contentment in feeding this void of longing with what they can find. With the sweetness of love, the passion of lust, with blood, with power. Yet, still it finds us, still it pulls on us, so close, so primal. Don't you look back. Keep your eyes on Perhaps in our avoidance of this void, we deny it the one thing it seeks to consume. A hunger that is only sated once we turn to face it, naked in its blackness. Mama, please, get up. Mama, we have to keep. Longing is a song of death, not to be sated, not to be ignored. It is to be bowed down before and burned within its embrace. Mama, please, get up. Humbly, breathing in its light. I wonder. Do the gods feel it too? Oh. My voice quivers in streams made visible by the cold morning air. A dream. As I watch my words drift through what little light pierces my tent, my hand glides up the warmth of my side, fingers rippling over the landscape of muscle and subtle bones until I find it. A scar as cold as the air on my parted lips rests upon my ribs and pulls at the warmth of my palm. Before I slip deeper into contemplation, I hear a gruff voice bellow beyond the thin skin of my tent, a familiar voice calling my name. Soren. Hey, Soren. It's time we set out. You've overslept. A gray paw pushes through the leather flap, delivering a torn piece of bread now being held inches away from my face. A chuckle breaks the lingering haze of my dream as I take the bread from his loose grip, slightly warm from its time spent in his palm. Breathless, the paw begins to retreat into the warmth of the day before I speak up. What? Not gonna help me up? The reluctant paw halts and flops open. I grasp it firmly, knowing I'm about to be... Fuck! It's cold out here. The young sun does little to soften the blow of the cold morning air hitting my skin. The hair on my limbs and chest rises in response as I reach for my clothes. Your fault for sleeping naked. Eat that bread down and pack your things. That should warm you up, and savor it. That might as well be your last meal for a while. The sight of Anoam banishes the last lingering emotions that my dream etched into my mind. We're set to converge with the Silver Bow party at the Southern Pass today. It's been what, 5 years since we last seen our sister tribe? Six since the River Festival. Right. Gods, the River Festival. I can hardly remember that night. I certainly can. I glare at him through a smile and his tail slightly tucks, a sign his memory returned to him. Had to drag your drunken ass home. We couldn't even make it to your mat before you brought us both on the floor. That was fun, I think. You weren't exactly sound and sober yourself there, pup. I woke up to you curled up next to me. Took me a few baths to get all that drool out. Yeah. Well, you made for a good enough bedding. Speaking of, think we'll get a set up camp before the moon rises? Should take us the better part of the day to get to the pass at our pace. From there, we'll descend into the... Cantharos? Should make it just in time for the opening ceremonies. Should probably... A great crater nestled in the heart of the realm, a chalice holding an ancient memories of time lost, when the great spirits walk the earth. Now men and wolves alike travel until the sacred rend at the call of the moon, to receive its bestowal in a reverent duty. You might have to sit up in the dark, but knowing you, you'll be awake for a while. I happily chew on the bread, the smoke of the now doused fire at the heart of our little encampment fluttering between us. He came to me in a dream again last night, just before you awoke me. Did he now? Those will only get stronger as we draw closer to the rend. Still, an auspicious blessing. His large paw begins to place a collection of tools and provisions back into his worn leather pack. Flakes of bread crusts fall from his knife as he sheathes it before slipping it alongside what I presume to be the rest of the loaf, wrapped in old linen. And? What did he show you? That night, His paw hesitates for a moment midway through his motions before stirring again, his calm eyes unchanged. It was almost a memory. The black trees piercing the snow, the fading warmth of her arms. It's already slipping away. The emotion was sharp, though. Then, from the blackness, he emerged. The trees began to twist and veil like smoke. I felt warm. Perhaps it was a memory after all. I let his words hang for a moment. His voice sounds heavy and reflective. I do remember a wolf approaching that night, yet the last time that I checked, you're not a deity. Unless you're the weeping wolf incarnate, and you are a better liar than I thought. The great bestial spirit of the forest, who spurned his maker, cast the land in ice in a final attempt to save mankind long ago, in the waning days of the Rendering War, banished to the chill of the moon for his transgression. He forged the tether betwixt the beast and man, giving form and divine covenant unto those sacred moon-touched, that he might walk the earth once more through their eyes. And his name is Oderum? I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, I'm sorry. I break my sight away from his smirk to eye his tail gently gliding across the ground, wet leaves and mousetail twigs clinging to it briefly. Alas, I am not he, and you're lucky for it. One might wonder if divinity itself would be enough to humble the likes of you. Hey now, I'm only disrespectful towards you. I'm touched. We share a light laugh in the rising sunlight. Oderum saved you that night, not I. He led me to you and your mother. When I found you, you were all but ice. He glances up, piercingly, wide eyes meeting mine before they fall upon my scar. That mark he left is as much a blessing to your soul as it is a curse unto your life, for you to awaken as a moon called. It is similarly my greatest source of pride and perhaps my deepest well of fear for you. Anom, you know as well as I that the call pulls at me. I can do this. My body feels strong enough. If Oderum saved me that night, then he guides me yet again onto the Cantharos to meet those called and changed before me, and to become moon-touched in turn. Just as you did. I know, Soren. I've known this day would come, though I've never realized how quickly it would arrive. He clears his throat gently and rises with his pack-in paw, slinging it over his shoulder and adjusting its position slightly to better fit across his broad back. I see the fire in you as strong. That's good. You'll need it for what's to come, but for now, you're still a pup, and one that's holding our journey at port. Pack your things. I smile and offer him a grateful nod before turning back towards my tent, the leather flap now warm in my hands. Soren? When I turn back around to face him, his eyes have a whisper of sadness in them. Did he speak to you? No, he didn't. Just fixed his eyes on me as the dream began to tear around us. First thing that I heard was you calling my name. Anom gives a silent nod before returning to his preparations. I take just a few moments for me to collect my things together. We packed as light as possible for what was already been nearly 2 weeks on the road. I forced my now rolled up tent into my pack alongside my cherished deerskin mat before pushing my hand deep into the pouch on the side, fingertips searching for an old friend. There you are. Warmth seeps into my fingers as they pull out the familiar stone from its nightly resting place. Its smooth black surface glints slightly in the light. I bring it to rest against my scar, the warmth spreading across my ribs and the ambient pain that I've learned to live with, quelling in its gentle glow. I'm surprised that still soothes you. Most of its quality would have long since lost its magics. I wrap a thin lining bandage around my torso, making sure to secure the stone in place at the heart of my scar. Well, I suppose I truly am blessed then. It has begun to fade, but she still keeps me warm enough. Still grateful for it. Anom smiles warmly, probably feeling proud of the gift that he gave me many moons ago, as I pat at my side happily. Maybe we'll find another at the Cantharos for you. Come on then. We have a long day ahead of us. Anom takes care to spread what's left of the wet ash and fading embers before unceremoniously turning to leave. I cannot but steal one last lingering look at the small campsite that housed us for the night before shifting my gaze out onto the wild wilderness lying naked before me. My heart quivers slightly. We're nearly there. Day 0. For as tired as my feet have become on the long road Anom and I have taken, I cannot but feel that they are strengthened anew today. Tonight will mark the beginning of the moonfall ceremonies and the beginning of the end of my simple humanity. Anom talks to the wind and I, as we walk along the canyon ridges, down over dry riverbeds, and through old groves. Good. And what is Cyrus? A small blue flower found along the creeks that weave through the forests of the Cantharos, not found outside the sacred Rend. Its use? He's filled these 2 weeks with a near constant flow of trials and tests that echo the training that I've undergone the past 5 moons. Osiris is the blessed flower to the Tian clans of the eastern coasts. Their druids utilize it to alleviate the pain induced by the ritual bonding with the moon touched. Good. That is its most relevant use, though it has other more practical reaches as well. And what of themic vines? By now, I've learned the art of absent-mindedly answering him to his satisfaction, allowing my mind to glide over the foreign landscapes stretching out around us. Themic vines are also endemic to the Rend, normally poisonous until boiled with a blend of other medicinal herbs that produces an altered, dreamlike state of consciousness that is usually profound to spiritual in nature. My eyes flutter along the trail as I drown out the answer. A landscape of autumn wildflowers and fallen trees hugs at the animal run we follow. Such a bounty our world holds. These lands I've longed to walk but never dared to dream that I would. I find myself amidst an almost overwhelming union of bliss and wonder, along with a subtle sadness. I am bound to the trail behind the towering wolf as it leads us through these unknown worlds, yet in my heart I yearn to spend days and weeks in some of these places, drinking deep of their novelty and untapped prosperity. The boughs are all that I've known since Anom brought me to them in the dawning wake of that cold night. A cage of trunks and canopies, beautiful and confining. A fragment of my dream this morning glints through my mind, only to be replaced by a gentle gratitude. I owe much more than my life to Odierum, the weeping wolf. By his call I am walking this unknown soil, the doors to my cage flung open far behind me. Several hours of silence pass as the path we walk became more tedious and challenging to navigate its rocky surface. I look up to see Anom turned back towards me, with his pack resting against a fallen tree. He waves to me before unfastening his cloak and laying it upon the back of the trunk. By the time that I reach him, the wolf is sitting comfortably in the shade, patting his empty water skin. Finally caught up, eh? The last mile was a bit rough. So says the man with trunks for legs and hardened paw pads. I draw in a breath and look around us for the first time in a while, realizing just how different this land is sculpted from where we began the day. This forest is beautiful. It's as if the land fights against the weight of the trees, piercing the ground for sunlight. I hop from rock to rock with a confident stride. Poetic. It's said that these lands bore the weight of the thunderous battle in the waning days of the great spirits. The scars of the time radiate from the brim of the Cantharos. From the primordial bones of the earth, the Maker forged 7 vessels, each imbued with an aspect of creation: fire, frost, wood, storm, stone, tide, and life. These 7 truths manifest as the great spirits, and their will shape the flow of life on the planet for eons. However, harmony among the aspects faded over time, and with it, the spirits themselves. The jutting rocks and crumbling ruins scattered across the forest floor seemed to soak up This newfound insight right before me. We tread along the earth's ancient scars, pausing for a moment in appreciation. I sling my pack down to my feet and move to sit beside the wolf. Before I can, his large tail snakes around from behind me and occupies what's left of the broken trunk. Here, pup. Anom extends his paw towards me, pointing at my empty water skin, the wooden cap hanging by an aged milkweed cord. A stream flows nearby, and now is a good time for a rest. I feel you're growing cold, and I'm in the mood for some tea. I'm surprised your senses are as keen as they are for a wolf your age. Brother, I can't hear the stream myself. Perhaps when you stop panting, you'll hear the flow of the water. It's down the valley there. I can go for us. You can rest your weary paws, old man. Another attempt to get at least some kind of rise out of him. And here I've been nice by calling your aging ass pup. Are you sure you're up for it? I figured you could start the fire while I fetch the water. I'm not quite ready to rest just yet. We both know you're better at starting a flame anyways. I push my pack away with my foot and approach the wolf, scanning his gear for the other skin he carries. Alright, if you feel you're up for it. I am. The thought of the cold water on my feet is all the convincing that I need. Just be careful out there, eh? Whistle if you need me. I give him a mildly disheartened look. He still doesn't trust me. Better to err on the side of caution is all I'm saying. The stream isn't far. He nods his head back to the thick woods. I take the skin from his rough paw before kneeling to gather my own, then shift over to Anon's pack to untie the third empty skin from its side. Understood. Perhaps I'll stop panting just long enough to hear it. We share a playful smile before I head out. Before long, I hear the soft murmur of the stream beyond my sight, weaving through the crags and trees. Even now, I'm humbled by Anom's sharpened senses. Never has the magic faded from the moments where he read my body to know when the chill of my scar begins to take hold. I wonder, will a new world open up before me in the wake of the ritual, like waking from a hazed dream? What would this forest look like through the eyes of a track? My eyes fixate on the sharp imprints dotting the earth, the fallen leaves left bare. I don't bother searching for the subtle deteriorations that time leaves on a track more than a day or two old. These are fresh. My fingers push into the sides of the track slightly. Moisture draws out of the walls as I prod. Very fresh. Few hours at most. I scan outwards from the first set and I lower the water skins down on the forest floor. There. 4 digits, the outer 2 slightly fawning away from the center. A Durafox, perhaps? A female, if I'm right. The track stands along, displaying the alert yet confident stride of a fox that knows these woods well, heading down to the stream for a quick drink. I get down low and follow along the indentations and displaced debris, careful to not get ahead and disrupt them. An abrupt pause and a timid step backwards. Something took her notice. A threat. Here, a set slightly deeper than the others. Images of her crouching down low, her weight given the time to sink down into the soft floor, dance across my mind's eye. She takes a few cautious steps forward, heading for the safety of a rock formation piercing the thin trees. I'm practically crawling now, stepping through the woods with my hands and feet, mimicking her steps with my own, my heart pounding as if it were I who was being hunted. A deep track tearing through the mud and moss as she makes a drastic pivot, a broken twig, a trampled fern. She's almost to the rocks and then... I stare at the last set, smeared and dragged across the soil, flailing violently. It's not until I look up in search of the predator's tracks that the abnormal silence of the forest dawns on me, save the pounding of my heart drumming inside the walls of my head. No bird sings, though I see them mocking me from above. No whisper of the wind, though I see the branches playing. Ugh. The woods around me shatter in a flash that rips through my body. I crumble onto the floor, leaving my own marks on its skin. Worry floods my dimming heart, and my eyes begin to close. The air is so thin. For the briefest of moments, a relief washes over me, thinking the fox somehow escaped their fate. Until I notice the sight of the forest through their ephemeral form, shifting like a reflection on the water. What? What is this? My voice echoes and flows outside the boundaries of my body, as if they were always just a suggestion. An attempt to lift myself from the ground is met by what remains of the sense of my body falling away. The air vibrates with a low hum that's building, a distant thunder approaching at a sprint. Who? The figure, comprised of veils of light, delicately enfolds its shimmering arms around the fluctuating body of the fox. She feels at once familiar and as alien as the darkest stars and the distant night sky. Mother? I come to as the vision fades abruptly. The scent of pine and wet earth seeps into focus as I open my eyes. What the fuck was that? I pant for breath, clutching at my side, my scar sending waves of lessening pain through my bones. Sharp moments like these have struck me before, but never like this. Rolling over onto my back, I stare up at the canopy dancing, unperturbed in the breeze. I've never seen anything during an attack. Scanning the floor yields no trace of the fox, where it stood before me, no tracks of a woman clad in flowing light. What nature of omen was that? The beauty of the visions clashed against an unsettling feeling growing in my heart. Was that? Memories of her flood back to me, the feel of her skin, the flow of her skirt in the wind as I chased her, the fading melody of her voice eroding in the waves of time. It can't have been her. She's long at rest. Worry starts to descend on my mind as I try to make sense of what I just saw, lived. Damn it, why now? A memory flickers. Soren, I'm just concerned for you. Calm down. Anom blankets my shoulder with a paw and looks into my eyes as I let out a tired sigh. Anom, we can't afford to sit in the bows and wait for a day that may not come. What if I never improve? Who can say that I will? I am moon-called. I'll be ready. I must be. Aldirm howls at me, calling me to the rend, calling me to give myself, just as he once called you. Anom stands silently for a moment before I'm pulled into an embrace, my face nestling into the thick fur of his chest. Soren, being moon-called is one thing, fulfilling that calling is another. The ritual is as much a physical trial as it is spiritual. Even a healthy man's body would be pushed to its limits. You have to understand where I'm coming from. His heart beats through the thick muscle in his chest, slow and rhythmic. He's not awash in his emotions as I am in mine. And I respect that, as I do you, always. But I've been stable these past several months of training, and what happened today wasn't anywhere near what they used to be. Anom, I can't continue to wait. The seasons that pass are losing their colors in my heart. It feels like the roots of the boughs are closing in around me, and the air is growing still. I feel trapped. I'd rather follow this calling until my body gives way than to spend what's left of my soul waiting here. His broad jaw comes to rest on the crown of my head as his embrace tightens with a deep breath, pushing at me through muscle and fur. I hear you, Soren. I will never be a force in your life that binds you. I promise you that. Yet still I worry. Will you allow me to come with you? I open my stinging eyes. Anom, you would return to the Cantharos for me? I had thought... A deep chuckle rumbles out, and a series of pats on my back keep me from finishing what he knew I would say. Life is a flowing river, brave pup, and it bends to the rhythm of change. I would be wise to follow it. I encircle my arms around his bulk, as though to hold us there in the fleeting warmth of that moment. Thank you. Damn it. No, I have this. A hollow assertion in the midst of doubt, but it's enough to get me back onto my feet. The skins are where I left them, some 15 paces back. With the pain largely quelled and no sign of the fox, I gather the replenished water skins and begin to trace my steps back. It's not long before a familiar whistle cascades down through the valley and past me as I make my way up the hillside. The gentle birdsong that had been humming through the trees halts for a brief moment, as if the birds were offended by the dissonance in their choir. Stopping on a rock perched high, I bring my clasped hands to my lips, the chill of the stream still clinging to them. Summiting the rest of the hill, I see Anom and the bluff ahead, though not in the way that I was expecting to find him. An abandoned pile of birch kindling and twigs lay at his feet, his worn cloak tied to his body by the sling of his pack. There you are. I was just about to follow your scent. The stream wasn't that far. What took you so long? Impatient for that tea, are we? It's only been a handful of minutes. Tried 30 or so. You had me worried. The vision lasted but a moment to me. Could it have been that long? Anom looks down at me expectingly. What took you so long? I'm moving towards my pack, now resting at the ready against the fallen tree. Crouching to secure the water skin to its side, I take a slow breath. He deserves to know. I had another attack. I clutch at my cold side as I look up to the wolf. His ears flick towards the canopy above and his eyes widen as he moves steadily, lowering his pack and kneeling beside me. I'm alright, really. It just happened suddenly. One moment I was following a fresh fox track and the next. I guess I must have lost consciousness for a while there. I feel his warm palms move my hands away and press themselves into my skin, the rough paths between rivers of soft fur, delivering their heat, where he fills his eyes. I knew I should have gone with you. You're very cold. Here. He leans back to unfasten his cloak before wrapping it around me. His strong and familiar musk carries warmth into my lungs as the cloak settles on my shoulders. Anom, please. Truly I'm alright. It was a fleeting moment of pain, or at least that's how it felt to me. I can't tell him everything. The omen I saw. It would only frighten him more than he already is. Laying my hands on the outside of his knee draws his eyes from where they were fixated on my scar up to meet mine. It hasn't lingered. I feel fine, save the coddling for when I really hurt myself. Anom lets out a small smile, just enough to hold back his true concern. Please don't. A warm paw and a cloak won't be able to cover much more than this. I'm glad you're all right, though. Thank you for telling me, for your trust. I know my worry burdens you. Of course, thank you for holding yourself at bay this time, and for the warmth. I tug at the cloak and Anom exhales, his large shoulders loosen and relax. A few tail wags and a lick to re-wet his nose tells me that he's mostly at ease again. With that, I had made a fire so that I could warm you up properly, but something's happened. Come and see. He turns tail and walks out towards the open sky. I follow and come to stand at the lips of the cliffside. See that there? That's the barrier. His extended claw points to a large dome comprised of fragile light fighting against the sun-soaked sky. By the moon! There it is. I didn't realize that we were this close. Aye, we've come a long way. Now look there. A tall smoke signal rises on what looks to be the shoulders of the Cantharo's halo. A slight tinge of green tints the base of the rising column. The Silverbow's party? What are they doing this far west on the halo? Well spotted, and that's the question. I've been pondering since it started to rise. They were meant to wait at the entrance of the southern pass until we arrived. Regardless, the signal is for us. Are you well enough to travel out? We squint at the rising smoke as Anom places a paw across my shoulder. Yes, absolutely. Let's not keep them waiting. I secure my gear and quickly tie the spare water skin onto Anom's pack. My mind lingers on the vision I experienced amidst the pain. The fox, the woman. A touch of guilt joins me as I watch Anom secure his pack and gesture at me towards a trail. Some truths are better held, at least for now. We make way towards the fading signal at a strong pace. The absence of chatter from Anom tells me that he's lost in his own thoughts. What would make the Silverbow's party deviate away from the rendezvous location? Anom walks briskly behind me, his fluctuating proximity setting the pace for us. I'm not sure. They'll have warriors among them, so it's doubtful a beast could sway the whole party off course. We both give way to silence, letting our imagination settle on a similar possibility. Do you know these lands? No, I don't. This is my first journey into the southern reaches of the mainland. Though it's known for its placid safety when held next to the north and the west of the Rend, the southern pass is well established and maintained. And what of the east? Your homelands? The eastern shores share in the safety of the south, though not for the absence of danger. Rather, the land itself keeps the clans there fortified and secure. That's right, the great roots that the Tien call home. I wonder if I'll ever get to see them. It may be you find yourself pairing with the tidal wolf. I could see your temperaments aligning well. Someone to calm you down. I look back at the wolf who's happily smirking. If they're anything like you are, then they're more likely to provoke me. The levity of my tone protecting him from the full meaning of those words. Ah, but I am a man of the sea no longer. Kneel before my lunar coat and tremble beneath the depth of my wisdom. Exactly like that. Should a proposed mate come at me with such blatant disrespect for the truth, you and I may find ourselves making the long journey back home sooner than we thought. A huff of a laugh comes from the wolf. And what of lunar wolves? Can they see the moon called? A loud cough reverberates from behind me. No. Lunar wolves do not participate. They act to facilitate the ceremonies and offer spiritual guidance. Ah, alright. But, say a moon called and a lunar wolf felt a strong bond. Strong enough for a claiming? No. That is... forbidden. He sounds... sad. The vagueness of what I've known of Anom's life before he rescued me feels wide in this moment. Something happened to him back in the Rend. Something he's not keen on giving words. I won't force us to stay here, for his sake. Anom, why did you choose the White Bowels of all places for us to live? Why not return to your birthplace on the eastern shores? Our lives have been saturated with the calm life of the Bowels, and while you now yearn for experiences beyond it, it has served us well and has offered us a peaceful life. That is why I chose the White Bowels. I knew that it would be soft for you, and for myself as well. I knew that I would need help in raising you, and the people there embraced us both, as if we were born under their canopies. In any case, you were in no condition to make a journey much farther than the White Bowels, even if a better place had come to mind. By creed, the three sister bowels, silver, white, and emerald, offer purity and isolation, insomuch as they are islands in truth. So too do they serve as safe havens amidst the ceaseless flow of the world, and its ever-shifting traditions and interpretations. That is why I chose that shelter for you, for us. Would you have chosen otherwise? I hear you. My memories of growing up in the groves are warm, filled with laughter and summer heat. I remember the magic of the harvest, that you having to clean the scrapes on my knees almost nightly. Childhood in the White Bowels was a daydream, really. For that I am grateful to the northern shores and back. Yet now as a man, I've grown to doubt the secrecy and isolation of our people, Now that I am moon-called, and forced to walk towards my fate without knowing what lies in the history of these lands and its people. You taught me more than any bow-raised moon-called has likely known before the rituals, but still, why conceal the whole people away from the unfoldings of the world? Who benefits from such ignorance? Aemon thinks for a moment before his deep voice rings out. Heritor Oberon chose what he thought best for himself and those called the Way of Wood when he created the bows, as the other Heritors had done for their people prior to and following Oberon. As to why, have patience, Soren. A world beyond what you can imagine is about to unfold before you. Make sure to not cling too tightly to what you think you know. That was Oberon's wish for you, to offer that innocence in the face of truth. There have been times when I have questioned if locking you in the abstinence of the bows was truly for the best. But then I looked upon you, and I see the man that you have become. Then doubts fade. A small flash burns for a moment in my chest, one of pride at having pleased them. I owe you much, Anom, for the choices and the sacrifices that you made for us. You've been like a true father to me. The gentle patting of his footsteps behind me stops abruptly. Father? He huffs in a tone that sounds at once hurt and playfully defiant. I fashioned myself as more of a noble guardian or protector, entrusting my sacred insights upon the little runt that life beckoned me to shelter. Moon's embrace. I'm too young to be a father. Anom, you're what, 120-some sons? As I said, much too young. I still have my youthful vigor. I'm as spry as a yearling. Maybe you should have left me at the closest encampment after all. Huh. Anom comes up alongside me in a jog. I draw to a halt to let the oaf pass, expecting him to run ahead. Suddenly, an outstretched arm wraps around my waist and lifts me off the ground. We spin as he slows to a walk, only releasing me when I start to slip towards his palm. His laughter bellows off the cliffside wall and echoes throughout the canyon. Call me a father again and I'll make sure to toss you. I am truly grateful. An hour of increasing silence passes on the trail. I feel Anom's trepidation growing as we near the faintly maintained smoke signal. Dark clouds gather overhead, and the distant rumbling of thunder breaks the silence. Nearing what feels like to be the source of the smoke, Anom stops and pulls in a deep breath. We're here. Cresting the top of the summit, we see a scene of the small Silver Boughs party scattered around a large bonfire in the center of the clearing. 15 or so members, some tending the smoke, some of their wounded fellows in an improvised camp, tattered pieces of torn cloth delivering blood into the soil. We're greeted by welcoming expressions dripping with relief, though it's unclear if it's on the account of our safe arrival or for the recognition that their wait is over. 2 warriors are quick to approach us, and the eager glint in their eyes and the joyful wagging of their tails are a relief of my own. Hail there, Anom, eh? The grey wolf huffs it, a nod as the 2 grasp each other's forearms in greeting. Moon's light be praised. We had feared a bad omen had befallen you as well. The fatigued warrior gestures towards the makeshift infirmary across the clearing. Are you all right? What happened here? Aye, we're making do. It's a better tale for our matriarch to share. Come, follow me. We nod at the 2 warriors and make way into the settlement towards a small group of gathered members. As we pass by the wounded, I hesitate for a moment. A wolf, 2 men, and a woman are being treated. The woman lets out a meek cry as she attempts to stand on a heavily bandaged ankle. I'll see what I can do for them. Go on ahead. I take but a step forward before Anom's paw holds me back. They have healers of their own tending to them. There's not more that you can do. Come, Amia waits, and she'd want to see you again. He's right. What little I could offer has likely already been done. I nod while my sight endures their wounds a moment longer, wondering what in these forests could have rendered so much carnage. Over the whispers and chatter of the camp, a familiar and imposing woman takes notice of us and approaches. And they arrive, whole and hearty. Anwam steps forward. Obviously, I kinda have to block that out. The moon shines on thee. And on you, sister. The two firmly press their hands against each other's chests, a greeting that I am not used to seeing often. I'm relieved to find you hearty and, well, though slightly less whole. What happened here, Amia? Not here. We were set upon at the entrance of the southern pass. Was it? Aye, Darkwood fiends, winged abominations descend from the cliffs above and took us unawares. Monstrosities of unknown origin and ever-changing form, pouring out from the frozen north. These creatures made of blackwood and festering darkness claim the lives of any unfortunate enough to cross their path, killing without cause. They neither eat nor sleep, and will drive themselves to dust rather than abandon a pursuit. What you see here are the fortunate ones. She gestures over to the nearby wounded. And what of the less fortunate? Her fierce eyes fall upon me, and I wonder if I've spoken out of turn. She stalls a reply, eyeing me as if for the first time. 2 stormwolves from Aloan, say, come to meet us here, following the smoke signal as well. The Hersir, a militaristic society steeped in the art of combat, flourishing in the rugged grasslands and perilous mountains of the western coast. Guided by their chieftains and matriarchs, the Stormwolves direct their might against the Darkwood fiends to the north and the hostile human forces across the sea. United in purpose and fierce in spirit, they stand as a bastion of strength against all who threaten the realm. They descended back into the Rend, with our 2 most grievously wounded. Waiting here would have spelled their end. Anon shifts uncomfortably, visibly contemplating. Moon's embrace. It's as I thought then. Darkwood fiends south of the Rend. I'm surprised as you are, old friend. That they passed through the Hersir lands undetected is unusual enough, but the true question at hand is, what called them here? And why now of all times? Regardless, you defended your people well then, that no one died on these sacred slopes. Aye, it was by Odirm's grace that we escaped. Our warriors felled one of the fiends, and the remaining 2 set upon its corpse. Taking advantage of that, we fled westward. 3? By the moon. Amia's eyes fall shut as she nods. Her brow pinches in either grief for her wounded or anger at having been ambushed. Maybe both. The weight of what befell them looms over us despite the jovial chatter of the camp, but not for long. We'll have much to discuss once the conclave gathers, but for now, you are here, and that is well. She looks back at me with an elongated exhale, indicative of her willingness to move to other matters. Who among us would have thought that the little runt before me would awaken as Odirm's chosen? It's good to see you once again, Soren. A small smile sits on her stoic face, giving it a warmth that I hadn't seen yet today. Whoa now, don't call him that. Bestie, stay humble, for my sake, not least of all. And you, Amia? It has been a long while. But, chosen? I glance over at Anwam. His eyes are keenly fixed on the matriarch. Anwam, does this boy know his own importance? Her eyes narrow down at him as he lets out a gruff of disagreement. He knows what he must in order to undergo the moonfall ritual. Everything else is useless to him. Anwam waves his paw through the air as if pushing the topic away from us. Fair enough. Well then, we are near the Rend. Anwam winks at me with a assuring smile. It's not enough to spare him interrogation later, but for now it will have to do. The southern pass is lost to us for now. The storm wolves described an alternative route that lies near the old trade road into the Cantharos. It's much less favorable, but it will see us safely. Hyteros! Soren? A sharp bellow splits through the camp from behind me, turning every head to the amber-colored wolf standing at bonfire's edge. I stare at the strange wolf in confusion before glancing between the two faces I recognize at the moment. Anoam looks unimpressed, but an aura of anger emanates from the matriarch at his side. The blasphemous wolf bounds towards his hand. Soren! He holds me there above the ground, laughing and allowing his tail to whip about. Amia swats it away from her with a sigh and then turns to Anoam. Come, let's leave the pups to play. We have more to speak of. The two turn to leave me in the clutch of this madman. Amon? All he offers is a flash of his brow and a coy smile before setting off. Well, fuck! Look at you! Hey there. He finally sets me down, just long enough for my balance to be thrown as he pulls me into an embrace. You look so well, brother. I was worried for you. In a roar of thunder, it comes to me, the rasp of his voice, the strength of his arms. Kirik? Ha ha ha. His embrace tightens before he pushes me away with outstretched arms. His hands remain on my shoulders, holding me before him while he drinks me in. It's been many moons, Soren. And finally, the third hit took it down. The others were quick to spear its wings to the ground, but just as they were able to, the two other fiends swooped down and started ripping apart the one that we pinned. His arms flail around in the air, acting out various throws and stabs of a spear. Strangest fucking thing that I've ever seen in my life. The wolf laughs, his coat saturated with the colors of redwoods and pine needles, catches my eye. He's beautiful. Actually, no, even stranger was how they looked. They were different from the others that you've seen before? Well, see, that's the first that I've seen myself, but never have I heard that they could fly. Based on all the wide eyes and whispers around the camp after we got to safety, something wasn't right about what we saw. What confirmed it for us were the two Hursar lads who showed up to the smoke. Should have seen the looks on their faces when we described the fiends to them. I listened intently. Stories of Darkwood fiends are more myth than reality to me, but the fear behind Kirik's eyes and easy laugh gives a weight to the tale that I've never tasted before. By their accounts, they took the shape of blackwings, or at least something unnervingly similar. A small smile plays at his lips as he toys with the bark on the logs that were sat upon, chipping off small pieces with the tips of his claws. Hursar wolves tame those, big fucking birds, black as night and angry as those gold wasp fuckers from back home, right? You'll see him soon enough. The storm boys ride him in on the rend. Though always a talker, he's shaken. His quick tone and darting focus betray his fear. Thank the moon you're all right, man. I reach over and slap my palm against his shoulder, drawing a dry laugh and a big grin from the new wolf. Me too. Honestly, I'm so glad that you're here. I knew you and the old grump were coming to intercept us, but after that fiend shit, it's nice to see a familiar face, especially yours. Good to hear. I wish that I could say the same, but this is new to me. I drag my gaze from his face and down his fur-covered body, the gesture pointed enough to speak for me. You like? This body feels more me than I ever did in my skin alone. Come on, man. You have to say more than that. You're a fucking wolf. It's more than I could have imagined. I would be. I'm stronger, faster, my senses are sharper, my hunger feels almost insatiable. Fuck, even colors seem brighter to me. Maybe that's Odirm's enjoying the sights, but either way, I'm alive in a way that I had only dreamed about. All the time that we spent playing wolves in the woods, all of it pales to what it actually is to be touched. My heart smiles for him, and for myself as well. The flame of excitement that's been building over the weeks of traveling burns hotter than ever in the glow of Kirik's resonance. That sounds beautiful. brother, especially coming from you. I don't think that I've heard you say something so contemplative in all our time together. He gives a few quick nods as he rolls his eyes playfully, his tail pushing air against the backs of my hands as it wags. But faster, eh? Care to put that to the test? I'm sorry, little pup, but your days of victory are over, and all it took was a little sacred. Fancy that. There it is, the brazen reverence. I was beginning to worry that Odorin took that from you. Not a chance. I'm still me, just faster. He shoots me a wink. How's the old man? He didn't seem too pleased to see me again. Anon? You think he recognized you? Oh, absolutely. Maybe not by sight, but he should remember my scent. Scents are a pretty big deal for us. He looked grouchy as always. Pay him no mind. He's grown a bit anxious as we've gotten closer to the Kentauros. I can feel his stress rising through his silence. Aye, I'd be stressed too in his place. The first lunar wolf to forsake the Rend. Returning at last after all that time. I pray it goes well for him. We both know he deserves to be there. We'll have to see. Breaking tradition like that doesn't just wash off your back in the next river bath. He'll have to answer for what he's done. Those lunar wolves don't fuck around. I pause for a moment in contemplation, now feeling a bit more worried for Anon. I shift the warning stone in my sight absent-mindedly, aligning it with the core of my scar. When I look up, Kirik's staring at it. How's it been for you? You know, man. There are short moments, but for the most part, I've been fine. And Anon's been preparing me for this for months now. He told me fables of men becoming wolves, their ailments washed away in the light of the moon. I think he's trying to give me hope. Personally, I'm not expecting that. Reaching up, past his maw, my fingers brush against the gap in his ear, a scar he earned when we were just boys, long before he became moon-touched. He offers me a sympathetic smile and leans his cheek into my hand. I'm surprised he even let you get this far. You have no idea how hard I had to work for it. Oh, I have an idea. But yeah, you're a walking anomaly to the larger people of the moon. Touched by Odorin himself, they say. Who can say what'll happen to you? Amiya mentioned something of this. I didn't know that I was to be expected here. Hey, none of that humble shit. It's just like when we were kids, you know? I flinch at the memory of our elders treating me like some kind of temple relic, my scar-blessed mark. Hells, the two of you have been the talk of the camp for the past few moons at least. The renegade wolf and his graced pup. You're gonna be fighting off the hounds in there, all clawing at the chance to be the one to seed you. Keep talking and I'll turn back. My face grows warm in a flash. Hey, so you know I'm curious. What? The bastard knows what, but I'll be forced to say it. What was it like? The ritual, I mean. You'll have to be a bit more specific there, lad. There are many rituals that take place during the joyous moonfall celebrations. The final ritual, the bestowal you asked, what was it like? Getting by a moon touched, you mean? An embarrassed sigh is really all I have to give. Hurt like all hell at first. You go through some training to get familiar with the sensations, but honestly, that training was good for shit at all. It's more than you can prepare for. Hell, I thought all the times that you and I played around would have done some good for me, but alas. I see. Perhaps my tone isn't as compliant with the jovial nature of his answer as I'd intended it to be, and he seems to take note of it as well. I get a firm pat on my back, weight enough to push me forward a bit, but I can tell he pulled a strength. Don't worry, brother. You'll do just fine. The pain fades fast. There are so many things happening in that moment, sensations of the body, emotions of the heart, racing thoughts of the mind. He tilts his head upwards and his eyes dance around, catching reflections of the shrouded sky above us. And then all that fades in a warmth that's so tender. So... He pauses, clearly experiencing his memory again, fresh in the moment. It's too much for words. You'll see it soon enough. With that, he pushes himself forward and off the log, taking a few steps to slow his momentum, the tall grass wrapping around his large paws. You do look well enough though, Soren. A bit sexy even. The beard looks nice on you. His eyes roam slowly over my body, not even trying to hide his appraisal. Gods. I grunt and leap off the log as well, coming to stand in front of the wolf. His stature looms over mine, and I'm suddenly lost in a moment of realization that this really is Kirik. Memories of our passion flicker through my mind like candlelight as I stare up at him, his skin pressed against mine, his green eyes half closed, our bodies thrusting against each other. Well, shall we get back? I'm keen to get into the rend. Yeah, we can head out. Just one more thing. Would you, transform for me? What? Here? Now? Suddenly he seems a bit shy. I've never seen it done. Anom doesn't shift and I've heard it's beautiful. I wouldn't mind my first sight of it to be you. I catch a glimpse of myself in his eyes as he stares down at me, my eagerness in full display. Okay. You just want to see my, don't you? I've seen every inch of you and have had a number of them inside of me too. His turn to bluster. Alright, give me a moment. I haven't gone back in 5 or 6 moons, maybe. I watch as he fiddles with the straps around his chest, undoing each one and letting it fall to the flowers and grasses beneath him. His belt falls away next, each layer slowly being peeled away to rest on the grass around his lower paws. At last, he unfastens the tan cloth covering his and tosses it to me. It carries a strong, earthy musk as it lands in my hands. It's almost intoxicating. I dare not linger on it and throw it to the rest of his pile with a laugh. I can't help but steal a few quick looks at his sheath. My heart quickens as if I'm seeing him for the first time again. And I suppose I am. Alright, you ready? As you are. The wolf takes a few steps out from the fluttering shadows of the trees above us. A sense of calm seems to take him as he closes his eyes and his chest expands with a deep breath. He releases the air through parted lips and bends to a kneel, placing his hands on the earth beneath him. Radiant blades of grass lapping at his wrists and feet. It happens slowly at first. His fur begins to undulate as if being lifted off the gravity of his body. Strands of fur wrap around and twist together into vines of life, spreading away from him in a vortex. Threads of green light weave and braid into the tangle. A kind of dust gently falls from them in waves like smoke from quiet embers. As the dust comes to settle on the ground, grass gives way to budding sprouts, practically glowing with life. Wildflowers of orange and yellow scatter about the earth wherever the dust touches, as glints of delicate light bounces off of them. Then from within the ephemeral tangle of vines and life, I see his skin, slowly revealed as if the wolf had been draped atop of him. Fur gives way to wildlife of familiar orange hair, and in a matter of moments his torso rests bare in the sun. I watch the vines open away from him as the momentum ripples down his arms and legs. Around him, wildflowers grow and bloom in a pool of color. He pushes off from the ground. A proud smile sits on his face, the last few remaining tendrils evaporating into the breeze. Before me stands Kirik, as I remember him, a man, naked in the warmth of the waning sun. Well, there you have it. He's panting, his chest rising and falling rapidly. My heart swells as both the beauty of what I just saw and also at seeing his face again after all these years. Soren, you alright there? I realize that I'm just standing there staring at him. I catch myself with a laugh and walk towards him. That was truly beautiful, Kirik. The stories tried their best, but that was... I know. I was shocked the first time that I saw it too. I always imagined that it'd be much more explosive as a kid, but it's actually quite pretty, eh? Or at least, it can be. I kneel down at the flowers at his feet, pimpernels and bird's foot, flowers of the spring in the boughs. I know you did. You used to throw crushed handfuls of these in my face when we played. Amazing seeing them here, coming from you. Aye, it's all magic and... wonder in it. He kneels down beside me and flicks his fingers through the yellows and greens. Each moon-touched has their own mantle, formed by memories and whatnot. And at least I think that's what I was told. He's panting hard, his wet pale skin drawing the auburn hair on his chest into gathering that flow down his body in streams. You okay there? Seems like that took a lot out of you. Well, it did. I tried to control it for you, slow it down to be all pretty-like. He rises to stand and stretches his arms above his head, his ribs pointing towards the sky. Normally it's a bit faster, more free, but harder to see all the bits and such. Well, thank you, Kirik, really. I pull him into my chest. His sweaty skin presses against mine where my clothes part. He lets out a grunt of surprise, but it quickly turns into a purring chuckle. I've missed you, brother. It's so good to see you. I wasn't sure that it would happen again. What's that supposed to mean? Of course we'd see each other again, especially with you being moon-called and all. I hold him firmly, breathing in his familiar scent. An old friend, a new beginning, and the sense of all things constantly ending. He reaches down and taps at my ass rhythmically, ending with a squeeze. But don't hold me too tight there, brother. I am naked after all. I feel him growing against my groin. It's tempting to stay, but I loosen my hold on him, giving him a playful glare and a shake of my head. Just then we hear a familiar call. Kirik's eyebrow darts up. Well, looks like it's time. You go ahead. I'll shift back and likely beat you there. Alright then. Maybe we can pick this up later, eh? Pick it up later? Yeah, we'll see. Let's see if we can still have a place amidst all the hounds. Gods, he looks so stupid with that look of determination and half-heart. I love it. Alright. But I have something that they don't have, see? I already know how to make you beg. You'd be surprised. I have longings that even you don't know about. He flushes his eyebrows playfully as we tease each other. So it's a race against the other hounds then, eh? I told you I'm fast. Good luck to you, brother. I go to turn away but hesitate, looking him in the eyes once again. It really is good to see you again. You too, Soren. I finally let go of him, turning onto the path back towards the rendezvous site. It's a short walk, but sure enough, when I get there I see Kirik, a wolf once again, panting and gulping down his water skin. That bastard took another way back, and very obviously sprinted. He offers me the most obnoxiously proud grin from across the camp as his tail lashes about behind him. Amon stands with his gear secured to him, arms stretched out with my pack hanging from paw. You set to go there, pup? I shoulder it as we fall in line behind a trickling trail of silver boughs, already making way onto an old trade road. I am. Have a good talk with Aima? He grunts through an affirmative nod. She brought me up to pace. Emerald Bough is already in the rent, and we're the last to gather here. We're set to descend. Did you get the full story of the fiends? Kirik told me a little more. Sounds ominous, eh? I did, though we'll have more time to talk about that later. Aima will need to present what she and her people witnessed to the conclave. Perhaps there's a change in the tides that the larger people will have felt as well. Interesting times we're in. Interesting indeed. I'm just grateful that you and I evaded an encounter like that. The two of us alone wouldn't have had much of a chance. Well, that makes the both of us. Kirik's face when he told me that story was haunting. Gods, I really should have gone with you to the stream. You were left unconscious and alone. That was foolish of us. Of me. If anything had happened to you. Hey, we couldn't have known. Thank you for letting me go alone, you know. Maybe it was foolish, but you trusted me, and that means a lot. I'd sooner throw that trust to flame than lose you. Regardless, you'll be safe to roam free and alone in the Cantharos. It's safe there. His furrowed brow and still tail tell me more than his curt tone. He's afraid. So, how far until we reach the main camp? Elmom clearly appreciates the change in topic, falling for my tried-and-true trick to stem his nerves, asking him a question. We need only climb another half an hour or so to reach the barrier. From there, it takes maybe 2 hours or so to reach Aloansai, the main encampment. It'll go fast. Are you excited? A rhetorical question. He knows that I've been dreaming about this day for most of my life. Beyond what I thought that I could be. I'm a little nervous as well. I feel like I'm walking onto an unknown forest at night, breaking every twig and shouting into the darkness. I don't know what's coming next. Something horrible? Something divine? Anawam lets out a short laugh. That's understandable. I can say the same. Soon enough, we'll know what the Wren has for the both of us. He offers an assuring pat on my back and turns to the flow of the party, moving in synchronization as we ascend to the brim of the Cantharos, like a gentle murmuration. We walk in silence for a while, enjoying the ambient chatter of the silver boughs as we hike together. For the past 2 weeks, it's been just Anawam and I, and while the silence is something that we both feel at home in, I can tell that we're equally enjoying the liveliness of our new company. Soon we'll be lost in a sea of people gathered from all corners of the moon-blessed lands, moved by the reverence for and devotion of the Weeping Wolf. They offer their all to his design. The body, mind, soul, and most of all, purpose. I rest my hand against the chill of my scar, my thoughts drifting back to what happened just a few hours ago, the creeping despair and fear. I can do this. I will become moon-touched, and it's what I want more than anything else. To make something of my life, to offer that back to the Weeping Wolf, and to become an instrument for a design beyond my own. A swirling maelstrom of awe and trepidation, mystery and wonder flood my heart and mind. My eyes stare vacantly at the ground as I climb the slope onto the very precipice of the expanding unknown. It's time, and with heart pounding, I'll step into it, to be consumed or to be transformed. Soren, look. Thank you for playing the demo. Got one last treat for you, but first... This project is made possible through the support of my Patreons. Thank you all greatly. I can't say that loud enough. You've made this project a reality. If you would like to support the project, please check us out here and become a part of the pack. You've unlocked character profiles. Make a save here if you'd like to come back later. I already did. So these are the character profiles of the people that you will be spending time, or can spend time I should say, because it's optional, you don't actually have to. So I guess this is the partners that will thrust upon you werewolfdom. So the first is Anoam. I really don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. The Forsaken, loyal, protective, and secretive, Anoam has been a watchful mentor in your life since the cold black night, safe in his shadow and within the place he chose for you to call home. The two of you spend your days in idle peace until you heard the echoing call of the weeping wolf. Realizing what this means for you, Anoam tries to support the choice that you made, yet will his fears and shrouded past allow your relationship to stand in the light of truth? Will you see beyond the protector to find the gentle heart within? I was wondering if he was going to become a choice because, like he said that it's forbidden for him to become a choice for, you know, helping you become the werewolf. Kirik, friend and lover. As a young and fresh, moon-touched, Kirik travels with his clan once again into the Cantharos for the first time since he was bestowed. Hailing from the isolated forests of the Silver Boughs groves, Kirik is more than happy to indulge in the sensuality and celebrations that his austere culture doesn't normally allow. It's been 6 years since you last saw him, and more than just his skin has changed with time. Something lurks underneath the playful surface. Will the flame that once burned between you kindle again? So, for most, this would probably be the next best choice, because I mean, this is the only other wolf that has interacted with you, obviously. I do like the fact that they're friends, and that it already has built up a I want to say stepping stone, but that's not a stepping stone. It already has something built up between him and the main character. So there's already relationship, there's already history there. And clearly he likes you. I mean, he literally ran and like hugged the main character. So like, you know, what are your thoughts? Do you guys like this wolf? Then there's the other three that have not been introduced yet. The first of which being Velof. I'm going to choose to pronounce it Velof. Tribute of the storms. Hailing from the distant shores soaked in blood and war, Velof teeters on the edge of sworn duty and the quiet freedom of his longings. Elevated to status by might and blade work, his presence in the heat of battle inspires his fellow warriors as they live and die on scorched earth. Yet, underneath the hardened scars and forged metal, there is a budding doubt in the heart of his champion. Even the smallest flower can pierce a boulder if given time and determination. Cocky and light-hearted while at rest, loyal and ruthless when called upon, will you have the softness to seep through his armor to witness the man inside? Admittedly, very good looking. I do like the variation between the wolves, that they are not all like very similar. If I recall correctly, they are all werewolves, meaning that they all have a human form, I think. So if that is true, then you can kind of see some human features in his face. Like even the hair and things like that frame like a human face. I think that even Kirik is the only one that doesn't have like that outwardly human touch to the face. His is more wolf. Well, this guy, you can kind of see what would have been a human underneath this. The little guy, Wraithen, tribute of the tides, amidst the ancient roots of long-dead great trees that twist and flow into the ocean's sapphire embrace. Wraithen's heart washed ashore in splintered fragments. Through years of study and devotion to the druidic path, Wraithen was able to forge stability in his life once again. Gentle, kind, and patient, Wraithen can seem more a movement of nature than a man to some. but the wise know that beneath placid waves lie deeper currents, thrashing in the darkness. Will he allow you close enough to tread those waters alongside him? So... this is what I hate about having to record outros immediately after finishing reading. Part of me wants to say that, so this wolf comes from like near the ocean area. I mean, obviously it's literally saying beneath placid waves lie deeper currents. Like, it's literally saying that. And even like the little thing that he has underneath here kind of looks like a water droplet or something like that. But interesting character. I believe he would be the more academic of all the characters. I mean, especially compared to the one that's coming up next. But like, he definitely does have that sort of, I don't want to say nerdy, but like, he studied more. And now finally, the last one, the one that's literally glaring. Noakai, tribute of flames. Ferocity can be a blessing to those who wield it, or a curse to those who flee it. To Noakai of northern reaches, it is simply a fact of existence. Reclusive and cold, he turned his back on family and tribute to indulge in what only isolation can offer. Yet, amidst the frozen wastes, a fire burns within his veins, an anger that seeks to consume all traces of light and love, compelled to return to the Cantharos, to the few friends who still tether his humanity. Noakai looms like a darkness of night itself over you. Will you have the resolve to stand your ground long enough to see the blessings or the curse? He looks like a big softie. I mean, scowling look aside, I mean, you know, he looks like he would be nice to cuddle with, don't you think? But yeah, this is the last one, Noakai. He hails from the north, and as I said earlier, the north is where a lot of bad stuff is happening. I don't want to say evil humans, but like the humans who are not related to the werewolves in any way, shape, or form, that do not associate with them at all, are, and who, I guess, constantly try to invade the is it a continent, or is it just like a little piece of land? And I guess it's also frozen, so, I mean, he's a big guy, he has a lot of fur, so I guess that's kind of, you know, coming in handy. He kind of has that look of like the bully breeds of dogs, even though he's a wolf. Like a little bit shorter ears, a little bit more poofier, kind of looks like very angry. Yeah. So, out of the 5, who would you pick? I am not entirely sure if I would continue reading this, like, beyond its demo. Mostly because it will be... As you can see, I had to censor some stuff. And, well, I had toyed with the idea of releasing slightly less censored versions for channel members only. If this gets increasingly more like gratuitous with its nudity, so much so that like it would just look like a bunch of censored blurred mess, then, you know, I don't know if it would be worth it. Like, it would probably be better for you guys just to read it yourself. I mean, it's right there. That being said, I don't know if the rest of the story will be free. The reason I say that because I know that there is one visual novel that I was interested in reading that I was waiting for that did say that they were going to release a demo, but after that, the rest of it was going to be only for either Patreons or it was going to be a paid version. So I don't know if it was this one or if I'm thinking of another one. But yeah. So, like, which wolf do you like? Write it down in the comments. I personally like the one we met first, Anoam, because he has dad vibes, and it's it's clear to say that he kind of took offense when you decided to call him fatherly, to call him like a father, where he's like, "Excuse me." Even though like it is true, like you basically adopted this kid, you raised him to adulthood, and what did you expect him to call you? Also, I just noticed that his like his sigil thingy right here is basically the CG we just, well, the video we just saw, where the circle is the moon and like the lines flowing down are what was flowing down from the moon, and that little arch on the bottom is the dome, and everything else is like on the bottom. So I'm assuming that pertains to lunar wolves, which is what he is. So my guess is everyone else's sigil pertains to what they are or who they're related to or whatever. Anyways, but yeah, so there's a really loud airplane flowing overhead. So if you hear the rumbling, then it's that. I'm wondering what the main character would be. I already forgot his name. Because he is not originally from that area, and he was found by Anom. So technically, even his sigil may not be like Kirik's. It may be different. Not only that, but I think it might also have something to do with their alignment, I think. Because I believe that each one is blessed with like a different sort of elemental affinity or alignment. If you recall, it's, what was it, like life, flame, something. So there's that too. Maybe he is related to life. I mean, because he's seeing visions too. Like, what are the visions about? There's a lot of things that are interesting about this visual novel. And again, whether or not I decide to read either the finished product or the updated versions of the demo is entirely dependent on how graphic it becomes, okay? So just know that it's not that I don't want to read it. It depends on that type of thing, because it would be against YouTube's policy. Like, I'm already pushing it by just censoring things, by censoring words, removing words from the text box, and then, censoring bits and pieces, But yeah, so yeah, I encourage you to read it regardless of whether or not I decide to read it. Again, links will be down in the description, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play the wolves, I mean, not the wolves though. If you would like to play Moon Touched yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page for Moon Touched, where you can download the game and play it. Or if you want to support the project, because it looks like it's worth it, then you can do so by going down into the other link, which should be the Patreon link for the project, where I'm assuming you'll get early access to builds of Moon Touched or works in progress or whatever it is that what was her name? Esanima offers. So yeah. Also, all my own pertinent links will be down in the description, like, my coffee, or I suppose it's actually called Ko-fi, not coffee. My throne. Thank you again at Astrid DWatt for basically buying the power conditioner that I'm using right now. And all the other things, all of the links down in the description as always. But yeah, so I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.